Here is a really bizarre telephone failure. This is a 1988 AT&T cordless telephone. I just got this recently, and it came with what I believe to be the original battery, which is a 3.6 volts. I would imagine it's nickel cadmium, although it does not explicitly say. Made in Japan. And I checked it out. I unplugged the battery because it was plugged in, and I unplugged. I looked at the terminals. There was no signs of corrosion. Everything was perfectly clean. So I plugged in the telephone and charged it for a few minutes, and sure enough, the battery took a charge. So I let it sit for several hours to see if it would take a usable charge. And when I went back to the telephone after a few hours, the telephone was no longer operational. So I opened up the telephone battery compartment to see what was going on in there, and there was like a small explosion of like an ink type material all around the battery plug. You can see the remnants of it here on the, like, it must have been some kind of an explosion, because the battery doesn't make any contact with this particular portion of the telephone, but yet it's splattered up against there with what looks like a decent amount of force. The battery plug has the same kind of material on it. Excessive amounts of liquid here. And you can see the common side of the battery is completely corroded, and the other side kind of looks okay to me still, and I'm not sure. Obviously it's covered in some liquid, so it's no good. So that's that. And then the battery connector here is has got the one terminal is completely corroded all of a sudden, and it's got that liquid all over the board, that like black ink looking liquid. Now, I've seen batteries leak liquid before, but what's bizarre about this is that the cells themselves are fine. At least it seems like it. There's some on there just from my handling of it, but the cells themselves are okay. It's like, it seems like it traveled down the wire. So I stripped the wires back. The high side is okay, which is the side that seems to have the most damage to it. And ironically, the side that's clearly got a problem was okay on the plugs. So I don't know what is going on here. It's really strange. I've never seen that much liquid pass through an electrical wire before. I always thought that like a capacitor had exploded or something, but I don't see any evidence of a capacitor explosion. I don't even see any bulging capacitors. Everything looks really quite copacetic on this board, which is surprising considering that it, I don't think, has ever been used. So let's clean this up a little bit, get all that off the board. The good thing is, if that is corrosive, I've caught it very early, so it hasn't had much time to do any damage. So hopefully we can get this clean off, can put another battery in there, and everything will be fine. It looks like it cleans off pretty easily, but see, it's like it really has like the consistency of some kind of ink. It's really, really strange. You know, I've been doing telephone repair for quite a while, and I've seen a lot of different failures, but this is not one. This is not a failure mode I've seen before. I've seen batteries corrode, but I have not seen this amount of liquid. Well, one of the good things here is that it seems like it's cleaning up pretty easily. I suppose what I really should do is detach this socket, desolder it, and clean everything, you know, more thoroughly with it detached, and then redo it. Because I don't think that I'm going to be able to get every last bit of this off of here, and chances are whatever this is, it's probably somewhat corrosive, especially over time. Just when you think you've seen it all, you get something new. This is definitely a new one. Actually, we're looking pretty good here. Now if I can just get the contact to clean up, because I don't want to plug another battery into this because it'll ruin the contacts on that battery. I think I'll be able to clean up the contact okay. Yeah, it's coming clean. Very, very odd. I think we're going to have to cut open that battery and see if there's any residue inside. I can't detect anything from the outside, but that doesn't mean that there's not some sticky stuff lurking somewhere on the inside. There could be, I suppose. Now that we're out of the frame, I want to put the board back into place because we're not going to work on the back side of it, at least tonight anyways. These telephones, unfortunately, were not very easy to service. These earlier AT&T models are particularly difficult to take apart and get back together. Which is a shame because they're pretty cool telephones, but definitely not meant to be serviced. I was hoping this one I wouldn't have to go into it because it was clean, right? So the keypad wouldn't be sticky or anything, but no such luck. What I'm battling now is pushing it past these little plastic studs in the center. There's another one right there. And there's just nothing to really grab onto to push it down. Very risky working on these telephones. Okay, we got one more clip to go. This is going to be the most difficult one. I'm not even sure that it's worth trying to repair that, pull that off the board. It might be easier to just, it might be less risky rather to just take a chance on it and have to redo the trace if it come down to it. Because this is not easy to get off. Maybe we're more worried about breaking it, trying to get it off, than I would be for that trace to rot out. Almost there. I'm going to have to play this off video for a minute. Alright, I got it back in. Now I'm going to take some isopropyl alcohol and we're going to go through this area where the corrosion transpired on the plug and see if we can get it to eat up the rest of the corrosion. I think I definitely caught this early enough that it didn't really soak in and do any damage, at least not that I can see. Alright, that looks good for the board itself. Need to focus a little bit more on these contacts. And then I'll plug in another battery and see if we still have life left in the phone. I sure hope so, but who knows what that did in terms of the voltage and so forth when whatever happened. I wasn't there, or wasn't aware of it happening when it happened, so I don't really know. I don't know what happened. All I know is the results of what happened, the damage that it did cosmetically. That's still a little bit coming off. I'm going to really soak this off video here and then I'll come back. Okay, I've cleaned it up enough for me to be satisfied in the safety of plugging in a different battery. It's pretty good. Not 100%, but it's good enough for a test. So now I'm going to slip the back cover back on and let's go see if it works with another battery. And if I can satisfy to myself that it still works properly and that no other damage transpired, I'll go back in and I'll spend some more time cleaning it up. But I don't want to spend, a half an hour cleaning up corrosion on the circuit board if the board is not destined to work anymore, or at least not destined to work without much more advanced servicing. Even this is being a pain in the neck just to get it to go back together. There it goes. Okay. Never a dull moment with these screws. Here it is. Okay, so we know according to this battery the red goes on the right side. I have connected a battery. Now let's see what we get here. Something is wrong with the way it's assembled because the switch is barely moving. Okay, so it seems like it's willing to work again. So we'll have to go back through and figure out why this has become. See, this is working properly, but this one is not moving properly. So we'll have to check that. But it looks like it's salvageable, so that's good. Not looking forward to going back in there, but we're going to have to in order to fix that button.